Hey, what's up, everybody? So, I am finally making this video, and as an actress, I actually absolutely love these videos. And sometimes, us as actors in general, sometimes it's financially hard to stay in class the way you want to, and to just kind of keep up with everything. And sometimes it's not about finances, it's just about scheduling, and between like working, most of us still have like regular jobs or businesses that we run. So finding the time to, include classes is sometimes difficult, and definitely you want to stay in some type of training no matter what experience you have. And, anybody in the industry will tell you that. But sometimes it is difficult. And one way that I sort of supplement that is I am glued to YouTube. Like, thank God for YouTube. You guys that are just starting out in the business, or are just in it for a few years now, but are very fortunate. Let me just tell you that, because when I started out as a kid, like, there was none of this, and you really had to beat the pavement. You had to, Backstage was a newspaper back then that we picked up at the newsstand weekly, and my mom and I would find casting calls. I had a manager and I had an agent, but at the same time, we didn't want to, we were paying a lot of money to be in New York City. My parents moved me to New York City when I was 12 years old. And I, primarily for acting. So it was expensive, and, we couldn't afford downtimes for real, and my mom, she's a singer, she's an entertainer as well. So that's where I get it from. And she was, very supportive. So I'm very fortunate to have supportive parents. Thank God for them. But it's been a long haul. And like people will tell you over and over, there's no such thing as overnight success. And there's not really, it may seem that way, but 9 times out of 10, when you hear those stories, there's a lot more to it than that. But I wanted to make sure I made this video for you guys, because a lot of you guys know me as Maritza from Nickelodeon's Taina. Shout out to all of my fans that have been riding with your girl for the last 20 plus years, 22 years plus, basically. And I appreciate you guys, because sometimes that's what kept me going. I am a single mom, and I have never completely stopped pursuing acting or the entertainment side of me at all, but there's times when it just was not priority, because I was raising a kid and I really wasn't trying to leave him for too long. I had to work, regular jobs. I did a lot of brand ambassador work. I worked at the cafeteria at a school for a little while. Shout out to all the lunch ladies. That is a hard job. Okay, I don't even know how y'all do. That's another story. I will tell you guys all those stories on another video. That is not what this video is about. But I did want to give you a little bit of the backstory, because I just want to highlight the fact that if this is your passion, it never goes away. It will always find you. I would always look for open calls, or every city that I've moved to, I've always had representation. Whether the market was really lucrative or there was a lot of things that I had access to as far as casting calls is another story. But I was pretty much represented wherever I was in life. But sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes representation works for you. Some representation works harder or better for you than others. And I have been signed with the #1 agency in the world, the #2 agency in the world. I have been signed with so many agencies, and most of them were pretty big and prestigious. But my agent right now is a small boutique agency. Shout out to Taina over at TBH Talent here in Atlanta. She's great, and she works really, really hard. And she's very one-on-one with her clients. And sometimes, well, most all the time. Actually, let me correct myself. That is all that matters. And when you have representation that is working hard for you, and you're doing your part, and make sure you're doing your part, that's all you can ask for. Because the truth is, there are so many rejections that come along with this career, and you are going to hear a million no's. I don't care how good you are, how experienced you are, whatever. We all go through the same thing. So maintaining your mental health and trying to survive in the meantime before you quote unquote get your big break. And a lot of people have a different definition for that. One of my favorite questions on the Hollywood table is when they ask the actors, when was the moment that you felt like you made it? And my favorite answers to those questions are the ones that are like, when I could pay my bills doing nothing but acting. That is the truth. When you can pay your bills doing what you love, that is when you have made it. That is my definition of success as well. So don't look at what everybody else is doing and all the reality shows. A lot of it is not true. So don't get caught up in that, but find out what defines success for you. And back to what this video is about is, you know, you also have to understand that once you find representation, and this is for the people that don't know. I know there's a lot of people watching this video that might be getting into the industry, and this is really why I wanted to do this video, because I want to help those that may have questions or may have the wrong idea of what this is. Like, if you don't really love it, you're not going to make it. I'm going to tell you that right now. And one of my all-time favorite actors, putting it out into the universe, I will work with you one day, Jeffrey. Jeffrey Wright, so underrated. Whenever people ask like who their favorite actors are or who they're inspired by, I get so mad when his name never comes up. I'm sorry, I'm pissed, because I love Jeffrey Wright. He's one of the most versatile actors in the universe. He is amazing. If you guys don't know who he is, you need to look him up. Just look him up, and you'll know who he is when you look him up. But anyway, he was on a show called Inside the Black Box, which is hosted by Tracy Moore, who is my old acting teacher. So if you guys have Crackle TV, when I was a kid, Tracy was my acting coach, and she's a beast. Trust me, I have been in the running for some major things where it was like me and one other person. And I'll tell you those stories later as well, because it's some movies and projects that you are very familiar with. So that's another video. I don't want to make this too long, but he was on Tracy's show. Jeffrey Wright was on Inside the Black Box, and it's a phenomenal show for actors as well. Like, please, please, please watch that, especially Black actors. But one of the things that he said when he was young and just getting started, he was in college, I think at NYU or something, and there was a producer that came to speak to the kids. And one of the things that he said was, I'm looking around this room, it's like 300 and something of you guys. Most of you won't make it in this business. Now, if you heard that and it scared you, or, you know, you had a pain in the pit of your stomach, or that bothered you, probably gonna have a hard time. But if you heard that and you said, well, he ain't talking to me, probably gonna be all right. That was everything in a nutshell, because that's what it is. You have to know beyond knowing that one day it's going to happen. And you have to love it so much that you stick with it, because consistency wins over talent and looks every time. And that's one of my favorite things to say as well, because it's very true. It's like people fall off left and right, and they're just making room for the next person. So you have to love it. You have to understand that you're going to get a lot of rejection. And this is a lifetime commitment. It's really not a hobby. It's really not a side hustle. Like, our jobs that we are using as survival mode is the side hustle. Like, this is it, you know. So this, in my business, I'm also an inventor of a product called Grease Bags, which I was on Shark Tank for. I mean, it's still creative, though. It's still the creative side of me. I created that. So the creator in me will never die, and everything else comes second to that. So you have to know that you love this to stick with it. There's so many ups and downs. You have to maintain your mental health. And when you sign with an agent, it takes a while, especially when you're in a new market. It takes a while to even get, you know, for this casting directors to start being familiar with you, right? And so they have like priority lists and people that they're familiar with, that they've been fighting for a while, new faces that they're looking for, referrals that they have. There's a miscellaneous pot that they have. Some casting directors don't just go through agents and the breakdown. Sometimes they don't just send breakdowns to agents. They also post on Actors Access on their own, so that they can kind of open up their pool of actors. So it takes a while, right? And even though I've always been represented, like, I'm kind of new to the Atlanta market, right? And so this is my second agent in Atlanta. And like I said, sometimes relationships work out and sometimes they don't. So my first relationship wasn't a great fit. And that's nothing against that agent or anything, but it's just, it has to be a good fit. It has to be chemistry. So I signed up with Taina my second year. So my first year I was with another agent, and then I signed up with my agent who I have now on my second year. And it took about, it took a few months. I wouldn't say a full year, but it took a little while before I actually even started getting requested for auditions. And once they started rolling in, it was like slowly but surely, and then they started picking up, and then you just start auditioning, and then you wait, and most times you don't hear anything. So once I started getting auditions, it was almost our 1-year anniversary when I booked Girl in the Closet. And let me tell you about that moment. Like, for me, I think it was a little different than it would have been for most people, because of course any actor would have been excited to be a part of that project, or to be a part of any project, to book a speaking role, to book a supporting role. The real estate on screen is very precious. So even when you get one line, especially in a major project on a major network with a major cast, it is beyond. And people don't understand. The audition is a win. That's the first win. Getting requested for the audition is the first win. Then you start getting callbacks, or maybe avail checks, which is like, where they basically put you on hold in case they cast you type deal. All of those are small wins along the way. And that's the other thing where, outside people don't understand that. You might have friends and family. It's like, well, when you go, well, what? Well, child, maybe this ain't for you, or whatever. And it's like, you don't understand how this works. Like, I've been winning, actually. Might not have been on screen. You might have seen all of the wins, but we have very small wins, and those are the things that keep you sane. So also, actors listening, please reward yourself for those moments. It is very, very, very precious, and it's an accomplishment, and it's a win, like I said. So, getting the auditions, being able to audition for some of the, big projects, like, that's crazy. So people just don't understand what that means to us. But with that being said, I have not been on television for 22 years, almost 23. And I've been trying, and I've been, like I said, trying to be the best mom I could be. And I sing as well. Here and there, I'd go in the studio, try to put some music out or whatever. But honestly, like, my fans have been waiting to see me back on television again, to see me in a film again, just to see me on screen again. And this was that opportunity. And, excuse me, out of all of the auditions I had all year, and every project, you're like, oh, you're on pins and needles. You try not to think about it. The way you're supposed to audition is to audition, put it out there, don't think about it anymore, which is easier than said than done. It's very hard. And especially when you're first starting, and it's like one audition, and then some time passes, and then maybe you have 2 out there. Not until you just have a bunch of them out there floating around is when you kind of stop thinking about everything, or stop, counting the minutes or whatever. But it's very hard. And so all year, I had been auditioning and hoping and praying that something would come up, and even, regional commercials, and grateful for anything that I may have booked. I just know how hard it is, and Viola Davis said this recently in an interview, and it was so refreshing to hear her say this, that people don't realize how hard it is to book a role. Oh my God, it's so hard to book a role. There's so much competition and so much talent out there. And sometimes it is not about whether you were good enough. Most of the time, it's whether you were the right fit. Do you look like the cast? Do you look like the family they're trying to cast you in? Are you tall enough? Are you short enough? Are you, the right height, the right weight, the right whatever? It's just a lot of different things that probably have nothing to do with your performance, because if you've been requested for the audition, and especially if the same casting director keeps calling you back, they are fighting for you, they are rooting for you. You don't know, and especially nowadays, the way things are, like, we used to kind of know what was going on behind the scenes. Our relationships with agents and managers back in the day were a little different. But honestly, like, you don't know if they've pushed you, if they've moved you forward to producers. Like, you won't know anything probably until they ask you for an avail check to see if you're available for the shooting dates. Other than that, like, you don't know. So when I see somebody like a George Pierre calling me in multiple times, then I know he likes me, you know. And he's George. For those that don't know, George Pierre is a major casting director here in Atlanta, along with Raven Drummer. And, you know, everybody's fighting for the stuff they're casting for. And so, you know, when somebody like that calls you in multiple times, you know that they like you, you know that there's something there. Continue to try to get better and do better so that you can kind of bust through that red tape, you know, that keeps holding you up. But it's not up to them at the end of the day. The producers, the writers, the directors, they make the decisions, right? And so all year, you know, I have been auditioning for things that I wanted really badly. And, you know, some of them were commercials, some of them were, you know, recurring roles on series or whatever. But honestly, and there wasn't a lot of like really big things, you know, a lot of it was small stuff as well. But there was a few things where I'm like, this would be, you know, something to move the needle for me, because again, it's about becoming a working actor, bottom line. But it's also about, for me, the whole of my career and what it is that I kind of needed, you know, to just move forward and to kind of restart everything. So when I booked Girl in the Closet, it was like, when I looked back over the year, I'm sorry, there's like a lint or something flying around me. I don't know what that is. Anyway, when I look back over the year with the body of work I had auditioned for, it was the perfect thing. It was the thing that I needed. It was not the biggest role in the film, but it was significant, and I was a part of the major cast. I was supporting. The project itself, the story is amazing. The cast is amazing. And I just couldn't ask for anything better out of everything that I had auditioned for, especially for what I needed for me and for my career and what the fans expected of me. And of course, they want more, you know, and I appreciate you guys for wanting more. I want more as well. I can't wait to do more. But it was just like the perfect jump off point for me after all this time. And I'm going to fast forward to the actual audition and the casting call, because there's so much that I could talk about in terms of like this journey I've been on in my career. And again, I'm going to do another video that dives a little bit deeper into that. But I know most people want to watch this video and see my audition versus the scene that actually aired, and to kind of, you know, get some tips from that. And so one thing that I will say is that this audition happened during Thanksgiving weekend, and my parents had come to Atlanta, and we were going to the mountains, the North Georgia mountains, and I always pack my ring light in my backdrop. And my mom was like, it's Thanksgiving weekend, they're probably not gonna call you for nothing. And I'm like, they don't care. I mean, things happen, you never know. I always have to have it, you never know. Lo and behold, we get to the mountains, and I get the audition for Girl in the Closet. And my mom was like, oh, wow, you did say that. And so we're in this hotel room together, and, you know, I can't really do the self-tape with them in the room. A lot of times I'll read with myself if I don't have a reader, and if I don't have a good reader. And trust me, like, you don't want my mom and dad reading for you. No. You gotta have, it's important to have a decent reader, and like, you know, bless her heart, but no, my mom, she sounds like a slave when she reading. I'm sorry if that offended anybody, but listen, it's the truth. So no, I cannot, unless we're doing that type of film, it ain't gonna work probably, and even then it's probably not gonna work. But yes, it's true. Anyway, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna need y'all to move around, go to the store, do something with yourselves, and let me try to knock this out. And so the lighting was a little weird, even with my ring light. I had my smaller ring light, because I have two. So I brought the smaller one thinking that it'd be better to travel. And so I tried to hit it at a time of day where the sun was coming through the windows, and it would kind of help with my smaller ring light. Took me longer than I thought, and so the light started changing on me. And I was trying to hurry up before they got back to the hotel room. And so I don't know. And then here's the thing. They tell you, like, once you got it down pat, once you've memorized your lines, once you have kind of staged everything out within your frame, don't overdo it. don't do it a million times. Don't, and that's a catch-22 for me, because I practice on camera because I'm doing it by myself. And then also, even if I was doing it with somebody else, I kind of, to save time, it's better to practice on camera. Sometimes I will pay for the professional self-tapes, like if it's a lead role or something like that. But by that time, I have filmed myself enough to kind of know what and what not to do. So when they, block out 30 minutes for you to tape, or an hour, like, all that work should have been done prior to you getting there. So that's why it's like 30 minutes. Yeah. So you should only need that, because you shouldn't be working it to death, because then you get in your head too much. And you want to be as grounded and as natural as you can possibly be within the time frame you have to work with. So yeah, I had to hurry up and get this done. I don't know if you hear my dog in the background coughing. That's the other thing. I have my dogs with me, and I have one that has chronic bronchitis, right? So you'll be right in the middle of a tape, and he follows me all the time. So he's like right here. And then you'll be in the middle of a great take, and he'll start coughing, and you have to start all over. Like, these are the things I deal with. That's actually a fly or something. That's not lint. Okay, listen. Where did you come from? Anyway, so anyway, we're up in the mountains, and like I said, I'm trying to hurry up and get through this, and then I don't think I have it, right? I think I'm just like, oh my God, here we go, one more time, and then my dad's knocking on the door. Hey, should be done by now, huh? And I'm like, oh my God. I'm just a little bit irked at that moment, but I'm just like, whatever. I can't have them waiting outside. Maybe I got it. So, and this is a perfect example of not overthinking, because as I'm looking at the text, I was like, wait, I might got it. I don't know. So I sent 2. Some casting directors will let you send 2 takes. Some of them will specifically ask you for 2. I think this one asked me for 2. I don't normally send 2 unless they ask, because I'm not even used to that. I'm used to walking in the room and you get one shot and that's it. So I don't overdo it. And then, you never know what type of bandwidth they have, right? Downloading all these videos and stuff. So you never want to give them more than one take unless they ask for it. So I'm pretty sure they did ask for it. Anyway, I found 2 that I liked. And again, like I said, I'm reading with myself. So the way I do it, I have a photographic memory, thank God. So it doesn't take me long to memorize. So I'll memorize both lines, mine and the readers, the other characters, whatever, however many they are. And I'll try to get that rhythm in my head, right? So I'm listening, I'm hearing them as I'm playing to nobody. Basically, I'm playing to nobody, looking crazy. And in my head, I'm saying the other lines and trying to be as natural with that as possible, which is why sometimes it'll take a little longer to kind of get in the groove of that. And then after the fact, I will voice over the reader's part. Now, I know there's multiple ways of doing this. There are videos all over YouTube about reading with yourself. There's a software called Audacity that's really good, which I have on my older computer. And I used to use that before now InShot is kind of my go-to. It's the easiest way to voice over. And I, try not to overpower myself. You don't want your reader to be too loud. But you do want them to be loud enough so that they can understand what you're playing to. The casting directors and the directors, whatever, they can hear what you're playing to, and it doesn't look odd, like you just moving or reacting to nothing. It looks crazy. So you want to make sure that the other lines are heard, but you want the volume to be right. And I hear the percentages, the ratios, everybody will give you a different version, but you get the gist of kind of just having it be loud enough so you can hear the other person's lines. So yeah, that's how I do it. So when they came in, I found 2 takes, went out to the car because now they're in the room. The dogs are, it's commotion going on. So I needed, to be as clean as possible for the audio. So I go out to the car and I do the voiceover and I fill in the blanks and send it off. I get home maybe a couple days later, and I get another audition for Microsoft. It was a commercial. A couple days later, my agent will not call unless you booked. She normally emails for the veil checks, and for some reason, she couldn't get a hold of me on the email. I just didn't see it. I was like, I don't know, I just checked this like a little while ago. I didn't see it. And she ends up calling me because she's like, yeah, so I need to know if you're available for these dates still, for Girl in the Closet. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm so like sure that this is about the Microsoft commercial because they were already shooting Girl in the Closet. It was already 10 days in. So I was not even thinking about Girl in the Closet. I had just sent off the Microsoft commercial and I was like, what? I thought sure you were going to say Microsoft. And she's like, yeah, no, it's Girl in the Closet. And, you know, we still got a possibility for that too, which I didn't end up getting the Microsoft commercial, but I was so stoked. Like I was just floored because again, they had already been started shooting. I just didn't expect it. It was so off the radar. And then under the circumstances that I just described to you, I really didn't expect it. But it was the best. Oh my God, it was everything that I needed. It was right before Christmas, right before New Year's. It was the way I needed to end my year. It had been, you know, hard, you know, throughout the year. There had been a lot going on, you know, sick dogs and trying to keep up with bills and my business and, you know, the ups and downs of life. And, you know, I live alone. I'm a single mom and I just have a lot, you know, going on. And I just needed it. I needed a win, you know. I had also had a relationship breakup earlier that year and it was just a lot, you know, so I needed a win. I needed something and it had been such a long time coming for me to find the right representation and to just get back on television again. And it was exactly what my heart's desire was. You know, God knew exactly what I needed and he just ordered those steps and moved things around to make it happen. Then on top of that, so she calls me for the avail check. Let me backtrack. And I was like, yeah, I'm still available. And then before the night was over, I was booked. So the next morning she posts, you know, booked it. And she always posts when we book something. And I was like, wow. So like the avail check and the booking came like pretty much simultaneously, like back to back. So sometimes it happens like that, you know, and so her phone call wasn't in vain because normally she doesn't like to get your hopes up with the phone call when it's just an avail check and not a booking yet. So that worked out. That was for me, 100%. I'm so grateful to Laquanda Plant who actually booked me for this one. She has given me my first major role in 22 years. So shout out to Laquanda. Thank you. I know I've said it to you online, but man, I appreciate you so much. You don't know how much of a blessing it was for me. And then I get to set and I'm trying to be present because this moment is it's surreal for me because it had been so long. And I'm walking to my trailer and hair and makeup and I had to take my COVID test and all this stuff. Then I pick up my call sheet and I'm looking at the sides for the day and, you know, the shot list and everything. And for the first time, I'm realizing who my castmates are. That is where I discovered that I was co-starring with Tami Roman and Remy mom. And not only that, I was playing their sister. Listen. I called my cousin. I called my mom. Like I called my mom, I called my cousin, I called everybody like, oh my God, I was trying to send them pictures like of the call sheet and it wouldn't send because on set, I don't know, the reception was crazy. Listen, I was like in shock. And then they shuffled me over to hair and makeup and, you know, Remy's over there getting her makeup done and, you know, it's quiet especially when you first start in the day, you know, you don't know who's trying to get into character. You don't know who's trying to memorize their lines. So, you know, it's not a whole lot of commotion that goes on in the hair and makeup trailer at first. There's music playing and you just want to leave people to be, you know, and I don't act like that anyway. So it wasn't like a stretch for me to just be cool to see her. I was more so in shock for my own personal reasons. Like, for real? Like, not only did I book this out of nowhere, but this is what I booked? This is who my cast is? Like, what? Like, it was more than I was expecting on 10. Like, I really had to be present throughout the day, that first day on set, because that's one thing that I sort of regret during my Taina days is not being present all the time, not realizing where you are and what's actually happening to you and how blessed you are in that moment. And how many people were fighting for that same spot. Like, looking back, I mean, I tried to appreciate, I just had no idea. Like, so now after all of this time and everything that I've been through, like, I am just trying to be present at all times. And I even have to remind myself to take a picture here and there, or to do, take videos. I forget about content, because back in my day, you respected people's privacy a lot, and you really just didn't want to come across like you was just a crazy fan or anything. You always wanted people to feel comfortable around you and stuff. So I'm not really used to taking a lot of pictures and videos. I mean, I have stories for days, but I've never been the type to just take a lot of pictures with people and post in a lot of video, which I regret but I just always wanted to respect people's privacy. But yeah, so that's how it happened. Tami and Remy were absolutely amazing to work with. So is JL the Great. So is Kent Fields. Thank you guys for that experience. Like, those are the guys that played my siblings. Courtney Miller, who was our director, was absolutely amazing. The entire Swirl Films family was so warming and so welcoming, and they had been shooting for 10 days, like I said, and I felt like I had been there with them the entire time. I just am grateful for that experience. Like I said, Remy and Tami, they didn't seem like celebrities to me. They seemed like family from the beginning. Remy's really quiet, though. She's a quiet one. Y'all might be shocked by that, but she's a quiet one. Tami's hilarious, and just feels like everybody felt like family. And I'm just really grateful for it, like I said, and I'm happy to share this video with you guys. Like I said, my lighting wasn't perfect. My eye line, to me, when I look back at it, I'm like, I could have did a little better with that. But it's a good example of not overthinking, doing your best, getting it out there, trying to meet the deadline and do it in a timely fashion. I think this might have been a day or so early that I got the video in. Trying to make sure you follow instructions to the T. Make sure you read that call sheet. I mean, the breakdown, or the character breakdown, the audition breakdown. Make sure you read everything thoroughly and try your best to follow instructions to the T, because it's all a test. If you can't follow instructions during the audition piece, then when you get on set, you might be a pain in the butt. You might not know how to act or what to do and not be prepared. So these are all tests. So this is why people tell you it's very important to follow instructions. And I'll get more into like actual self-tape tips if you guys want, but like I said, with this one, I read with myself, and the lighting wasn't great. I was in a hotel room, and yeah, I took about a day and prepared myself and sent it off, and I happened to book this one. So I will show you guys the self-tape, and then I will show you the actual scene. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope it's helpful, and again, we'll come back in and share some more self-tape tips, audition tips, and give you a little bit more story on my journey. And I wish you all the best of luck with all of your casting calls and auditions, and I will see you guys at the top. Peace. Who's winning? What do you mean who's winning? Troy and I got this on lock. 3 games in a row. Renee, God don't like no braggart. If I was this good at spades, he'd say something too. Well, we need to switch it up after this. Why, you tired of getting your butt whipped? Tired of seeing your ugly face? They starting up again? A couple times a day. I told you to go see somebody about that. I ain't got no time to sit in early care all day. I'll take a couple aspirin, I'll be good as new. Safe! You enjoying your birthday party, baby? It's the best one ever. Do me a favor. You guys go wash your hands. We're going to cut the cake real soon. Linda. What? That's not Macy's. Yeah, okay. Bye. Who told her? Why? She's her aunt. She's not welcome here, and you knew that. It's not my fault Grandma didn't have enough space for all of us. I just don't understand why you guys hate her so much. Yes, she did kill someone, but he was beating on Venus. I don't condone what she did, but I'm not gonna hold it against her. That's not what it is. Linda Ann is... she's here. What did I do?
Who's winning?
What do you mean, who's winning? Brian and I got this on lock.
3 games in a row.
Renee, God don't like no braggart.
You know what? If God was this good at spades, he'd brag too.
Well, we need to switch it up after this.
Trying to get in your butt lip.
Tired of seeing your ugly face.
What, is it happening again?
A couple of times a day.
I told you to go see somebody about that.
I ain't got no time to be waiting all day in urgent care. Just a couple of aspirin and I'd be good as new.
Safe.
Hey, enjoying your birthday, baby?
It's the best one ever.
Yeah? You guys go wash your hands. We're gonna cut the cake soon. Yeah? Okay. Okay. Mia? What? No, that's not necessary. Okay. Yeah. Bye. Who told her? Why?
She's her aunt.
She is not welcome here, and you know that.
I told you.
You knew?
I don't understand why you guys hate her so much.
You didn't have to grow up with her.
It's not my fault Grandma didn't have enough room for all of us. I just don't understand why you guys hate her so much. Yes, she did kill a person, but he was beating on Venus. I don't condone what she did, but I'm not gonna hold it against her.
That is not it. Mia Ann is... She's here.
What'd I do?
Just play.